name is Marcus Speller. His name is Pete Donaldson. And his name is Sad Jim Campbell.
That's more of a nickname.
That's the name of
Who have
Edinburgh
you
show,
been
isn't it?
talking to from my school?
Oh, you big saddo.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
sad.
and frustrated and
Yeah,
disappointed.
I'm a big frustrato.
and prickly and aggressive. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I'm any of the last three.
I don't think we need any of this character assassination when
No.
Arsenal did enough
Yeah,
damage last night.
Absolutely.
Don't need double helpings.
Absolutely sick of the bell ends.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it. If there is to be a defining image of this season, it is unused sub and boyhood Arsenal fan Carl Jenkinson collecting a loser's medal. I think that is just our season in an absolute nutshell.
But what a great occasion, though.
Yeah, with the
What a great
atmosphere, you
atmosphere.
can't fault,
I
can
enjoyed
you?
I enjoyed the pre-match kind of build of like loads of people filming the fact that they were piping in crowd noise into the stadium.
Although the thing with that though is apparently that is a test for VAR to see if the referees can hear it over crowd noise. So apparently that's done in a lot of stadiums.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
prefer your version.
Yeah, sweet.
have to
Yeah,
say.
in the same way that auto-tune is used in a lot of pop songs to test the singer's
Vocal
propensity.
range.
Yeah, propensity for actually singing the right notes.
Yeah, I mean
Sure.
even the camera angle because I was listening to it in a busy pub or watching it in a busy pub, so I couldn't really hear the TV.
At times
anyway.
it was like listening to it.
But yeah, well, quite. But
It
even,
sounded like a
even
busy pub in the stadium.
Yeah, but the camera, the camera nest, I suppose, was so high. It almost very ironically looked like you were watching sensible soccer.
It was very high on Five Live. They had no, actually, I was watching it on TV, and David Pleat popped up at one point, and he sounded like he didn't have a pop shield on his mic, so he's just gone. I was like, is this what we've got in
Stop
Baku?
saying your surname, David.
Pleat.
Sorry, I've got a taxi waiting for me. Can we get me?
Good to hear David Pleat
Yeah,
back.
good to see
Yeah.
David Pleat. You know, everyone's always working when it comes to a really big European night in football, but it didn't feel like a big European night in
No,
football.
it
It looked
didn't.
rather subdued.
And everyone thought the same thing. It was like a pre-season friendly. You know when sometimes we're a bit sceptical of a tournament or a match being played in a certain place, and sometimes that criticism can be a little unfair. Sometimes it can be grounded in reality. We remember the South Africa World Cup when people were concerned, and of course, on when the tournament happened, everyone thought, what are you worried about?
What are you
know?
worried about?
What are you worried about once you mute the sound?
Oh yeah, well the vuvuzelas, you know. Yeah, but the thing is, when we went there, we were like, "Oh, what's all this about?" Go on,
Yeah,
get
straight
involved.
away, of course.
And then the Brazil World Cup, and I know these are sort of bigger occasions. I think there was a bit of trepidation before the Champions League in Moscow when Manchester United
Possibly.
played Chelsea. Perhaps it was very expensive. I remember that. This is not one of those occasions.
No.
This is very much all the fears and worries came to fruition.
Yeah, very much so. Especially, I mean, I don't know the exact details of it, so maybe this looks like it's something that it wasn't. But you know, the police sort of, being a bit funny with people with Mkhitaryan on the back of their shirt. You
Yeah,
know, like, I mean,
that was bizarre, isn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
you don't know how to do.
you can't have
They
a
don't like
name
the
on your
hands,
back.
do they?
Yeah, it's a really really strange one. Yeah, it was a drab occasion, wasn't it, in terms of the setting? And it has to be said, the whole idea of I suppose the smokescreen of an idea that UEFA put forward is that you've got to take the game around and let people that haven't seen it before see it. There was a bit of that. The Azerbaijani fans looked like they were having a really good time.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a good thing in isolation. But yeah, generally it was
half
a
Chelsea, half
strange-
Arsenal kits. Get involved.
Yeah.
That's the spirit of it.
Yes, but it was a very frustrating game.
Yeah.
From my personal point of view, I wish I could stop caring, but I can't. It's like
Yeah.
a rubbish uncle that you have to love.
What you are, or Arsenal?
I don't.
It's
I
not
think
time
they were
to-
feeding into each other at this
It's
point.
not time to dissect the Campbell family dynamics, Jim.
No.
But Baku, people were saying that, will UEFA look into Euro 2020 because Baku are hosting games? Well, they are going to host games. They're going to host 4 of them, including a quarter-final. The official attendance for the match was 51,370 in a stadium that holds nearly 69,000. So very disappointing for a European final. However, despite all that, and despite all your annoyances, Jim, which we will go into further, don't you worry, my friend.
Are we phoning Luke just so we don't miss any of it?
You have to be a little bit happy for Maurizio Sarri.
I really don't.
No, especially because
I was talking to Pete.
Especially because, like, after the match,
See his little face.
he dedicated the win to the Napoli fans.
I know that I did
I
enjoy.
just love, like, he's got such a love-hate relationship with the Chelsea supporters.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't give a shit. Everyone in Italy
Maurizio,
loves me.
There's people up there who've spent thousands.
Yeah.
They've travelled 3 days to get it. No, for Napoli fans, not them.
I'd like to dedicate it to my Napoli fans, my agent, and
This cigar
Juventus.
that I've just pulled out of my pocket.
Probably chewing on it.
Yeah.
Treat yourself.
He did. He had a big Cuban on the go at one point. But Sarri did say that Chelsea, they won 12 out of 15 matches in the Europa League. Very impressive. They
Giroud was the top scorer in it.
Giroud was top scorer. They scored more goals, Chelsea, apparently, than anybody else. Here's an Opta stat for you. Chelsea became the first team to win a major European title without losing a game since Manchester United in 2007-2008 Champions League. Okay, they needed penalties against Frankfurt, but they won
They've
that.
been very, very good in the tournament.
Yeah, and
credit.
I mean, 4-1 in the final is a hammering. And
it really is.
The mid innings collapse from Arsenal in the second half.
That's a ridiculous thing. I think it was a fairly even game in the first half. You'd maybe argue Arsenal slightly edged it. Obviously,
possibly.
Chelsea rallied late, and Arsenal needed to get to half time, but they then needed to do more of the same, and they had no response to the goal. And Koscielny, he is 33. He's basically kind of permanently injured now. He has that sort of issue with his calf, I think it is, and he's come back from a big injury, and it looks like this is probably time for him to either go elsewhere or perhaps retire. I don't know, but I suppose it's harsh to say he should retire because Giroud got a yard on him, but it sort of certainly felt.
No, but all these things you're saying, that the injuries are mounting up, and
I mean it is marginal, isn't it? Football is very, very marginal at that level.
It's difficult to rely on him for 30 games a season.
Absolutely. I mean, it may be good to have around for for almost coaching the younger players, but I don't know how appealing that is to him. But
no,
anyway,
he'll do that at Man City.
Yeah. But anyway, it just after that, I felt like Arsenal were waiting for a free kick, maybe for Pedro's goal, and it didn't come, and they switched off a little bit because he shrugged somebody off. I forget who, maybe Xhaka, and then at that point it was just silly. Ainsley Maitland-Niles was a young player, played well up to that point, but he shouldn't be giving away such a silly penalty. At that point, it's just daft. And I think the most telling thing of all is, they get a goal back through the best goal Alex Iwobi has ever scored, and then straight away concede again.
Yeah,
well,
you've got
the heart.
Where's the concentration? Though, really, you're sort of in a situation where he's just got a fantastic goal, and that should have galvanised the team. Should have had them. I think. It was set up quite a nice finish for the match, but it just never. It's just.
For a neutral watching, when Iwobi scored, you thought, little something.
Finally.
Hang on in there for 5 minutes, and get it back to something reminiscent of the first half, where it was sort of fairly. Oh no, you've conceded a soft one again.
Absolutely.
I mean, maddening for Arsenal fans. I have absolutely no doubt for blatantly obvious reasons, but Arsenal. It just showed that sometimes in a final, and this is why I think Liverpool will win in the Champions League final against Spurs. We'll come on to that. It's just that I think in the big occasion, when you get a side who think, hang on a minute, we're better than you. And I would say not by much, but Chelsea are a better side.
Yeah, I think once Chelsea scored, they almost remembered.
Yeah, well, they remember, hang on a minute, you're Eden Hazard, you're Olivier Giroud, you're a World Cup winner, you can go look at, you look around, who have Arsenal got to do that?
Well, the thing is, Arsenal were very, very good against Chelsea at the Emirates and were by far the better team.
Yeah, that was when Chelsea weren't caring, though.
Well, but they played like that in the first half. They sort of pressed them, but then that just fell apart. It just absolutely fell apart once they conceded, and their plan went to shreds. And it's been such a strange season for Arsenal because, I mean, looking back on Unai Emery's first season, this obviously changes it a lot because Arsenal haven't qualified for the Champions League, and it just hasn't been that good. Obviously, it's a difficult job after so long with Wenger, but I don't really know what the style is.
What did you expect?
I expected it to be similar to this, to be fair,
Right.
but I expected it to maybe feel like it had a bit more momentum. This feels like there's been a slight improvement because obviously they finished 6th with 63 points last year, and there was a Europa League semi-final in that, and this season it's 5th with 70 points in the Europa League final, and it is improvement, but it's
on paper it's marginally better.
Exactly, but it's not. It doesn't feel like Arsenal are going anywhere. And another season in the Europa League, you're going to hang on to Aubameyang and Lacazette. There's apparently a 40 million transfer budget, which is nothing in today's money.
Well, I've watching that, it really does, and I know Arsenal fans have had these concerns for a while. I do worry for them actually next season, and I think for Emery, people have been critical. People have said, no, he's done okay. I think he's done all he can, to be honest with you.
I would disagree with that.
Would you? Okay.
Because if you look at it's those games towards the end of the season where they conceded 3 goals in, I think, 3 games in a row. And, the Crystal Palace game, losing 3-2 at home. And obviously you got 3 Mustafi mistakes in there, which doesn't tell the whole story of the game. But,
Was that Emery's fault?
Yeah, 3 games in a row conceding three goals. That's got to be the manager's fault, right? That he has to take some of the blame.
This Arsenal side.
This Arsenal side that were a point off the top 4. All you got to do is get 2 points out of those games, and they couldn't do that. And it's a similar thing. It's the collapse. He's inherited that mentality that collapses.
Yeah,
but he's not done enough to address it. I would say.
Are you an Emery out man?
I'm not an Emery out man.
No, but
another season for him. But
are you Emery bored?
but that's the point, though. He's inherited a team who have that mentality, and it's one season. Bearing in mind, he came through ties against Napoli and Valencia.
Absolutely.
And won away on both of them. People have been very critical of Arsenal's away form. That's fair.
Yeah.
But they won in Napoli and they won in Valencia.
Yeah, but
which aren't too shabby.
They're not too shabby, Marcus, but it is ultimately for nothing, isn't it? And the problem with that is...
Well, it wasn't at the time, Jim.
Well, quite. But this is it, isn't it? You've got to sort of take into account the context of the season. Like, if you looked at this points tally, the league position in the Europa League final, completely on paper without having seen the story of the season, you go, all right, that's maybe about what you could expect. But, you know, it is the nature of it. It's those collapses and how it was Arsenal lost qualification for the Champions League rather than missing out on it. Does that make sense?
Okay,
that's how it feels.
So what could he have done, and what do you think he should do next season?
I think he needed to find a way to fix the defence. But I mean, look how terribly bad that defence has been. For a team that finished, the team that's in the top 6 at all, it shouldn't be as bad as that. It should be possible to fix it, right? And also, I think there just needs to be a clearer idea of what Arsenal's game is, because he's changed it up a lot. And I understand that, he's trying to figure out what he can do with the personnel that he has in his first season. But I just feel like if by the end of the season you haven't figured that out enough to scrape a win if you need one, rather than getting beat 3-0 or whatever it is by Wolves, then that's an issue.
Yeah, I take those points, but the top 2 are the best sides.
Of course, yeah.
Spurs are better than Arsenal. You probably wouldn't disagree. Chelsea got it together eventually after October, but Chelsea are better than Arsenal. Again, they proved that in the final. So really, 5th is better. I mean, you'd say Manchester United have got a better squad than Arsenal. So finishing 5th, I understand that it was kind of in their grasp and very disappointing to losing it. So once you're in the position, but 5th place, Europa League final, I don't think that's. I'm not saying you're saying it's terrible, but I think he's done it. I think he's got such an enormous job on his hands.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but I just feel like the nature in which Arsenal missed out on the Champions League via 2 different routes is a huge problem. And it has to be considered and taken into account when you're discussing the end of the season. Okay,
so this summer, Arsenal don't have a lot of money to spend, but they clearly need to bring in a new, ethos, identity, all that kind of stuff.
They may have to go backwards to go forwards, I think.
Yeah, I think, not that anyone's really saying the manager should go, I don't think.
No.
I think that he's got such a big job.
Definitely.
To get rid of him now would be madness.
He needs at least a few seasons to... For the job to be assessed.
Well, I think more than 40 million, I know that much.
Yeah, I think it's going to be players coming in on a free, maybe. Callum Chambers will probably come back. He was Fulham's player of the season.
Could do worse than Gary Cahill.
I don't know. I think he's probably
Mustafi and all those players. Gary Cahill would improve that. I mean, I know it's not exactly the answer and the solution.
Give him a little Czech kind of like swan song.
Gary Cahill. I wonder why no one took him in January.
I think he probably wanted to stay.
Right.
I think from Gary Cahill's point of view, he probably thinks, I want to fight for my place.
Yeah.
And also, if he goes on a free, then him and his agent can push for more money in his next move, you would say.
Yeah. Also, I think massive injuries to Hector Bellerin and Rob Holding as well, although obviously, he's not a world beater at the moment. Have made Emery's job harder, and he's been fairly unlucky there. Still.
What about Petr Cech, though, eh? Not the ideal way to go.
No, it wasn't.
Agent Petr
Cech.
He did make some handy saves, though. That was
I wonder what plane he went home on.
Yeah, good point.
I think Abramovich probably thought, all right, son, come back to...
If they'd have lost that, do you reckon Chelsea would have posted on social media, and we are announcing Petr Cech as the new... whatever he's going to be up there.
Quite possibly. Eden Hazard looks set to finally leave. Yeah. It's so funny. Some of the headlines were like, Hazard hints he's leaving.
Yeah.
There was no hint.
No.
If he says,
There's not been a hint for about 2 years.
There might as well have been a Real Madrid branded helicopter land on the pitch and take him away.
That'd have been amazing. Kevin Keegan-esque.
Don't forget who's the king.
My mate Brian pointed out that he's saying goodbye to a wonderful behind.
Yes.
There is.
Eden Hazard is the booty man. Oh,
the booty.
He is the booty man.
Thick.
Yeah, he's
thick.
He's got...
That
See you later, booty man. Yeah, well, thick. Get the heaters on.
Yeah, well, he's going to go away, but he leaves a nice parting present for the club.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so funny when he steps up to take the penalty. You think, right, come on, Czech. You know what he's going to do. Stand your... Oh, no, he scored. Because Petr Cech actually, in the Champions League final penalty shootout against Manchester United, when he was playing for Chelsea in Moscow, the aforementioned final, Ronaldo ran up and kind of stepped. I'm not sure if you're allowed to do it or not, but sometimes people get away with it. And Cech didn't move. And Ronaldo's a bit like, oh... And they just tried to sort of hit it, and the Czech actually saved it. And I thought, oh, will we have a... obviously not.
Clearly not.
Yeah. But yeah, Hazard, the fourth goal was a lovely move from him and Giroud. So he left on a high, so at least, consolation there, perhaps.
The thing is, I can't even be sad for... I can't be angry at Olivier.
No, you can't. Andreas Christensen had a very good game at the back as well. What about N'Golo Kante? Was that all nonsense?
Yeah, I thought
the injury.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
I don't think it was nonsense because Conte, he
doesn't look like a liar to me.
First 5 minutes, he looked a bit off the pace, and then he really sort of came into
ran it off.
He sort of ran. Yeah, he ran it off.
If there's a man who
maybe he ran there, maybe he ran to Baku.
Yes.
If there's a man who can run off an injury,
it's Conte. Yeah.
I've got a bit of a headache. I'll just run it off. But Petr Cech though ends a career in a European final. Let's be a little bit philosophical for the great man. He's had an amazing career.
I mean, he's won so much that it's not exactly going to be the most bittersweet ending, is it?
No, but from Arsenal's point of view, do you think it's a good thing now that Bernd Leno, he's already the number one? Yeah. It's kind of like all focus
undisputed now, yeah,
exactly.
Well, I mean, he is anyway. This was a bit of a strange thing with the Czech being the Europa League keeper, and I wonder if Leno might have got to Giroud's header a bit quicker. But then, who knows? If that's pointless to think about, really. But yeah, I think the problem with Arsenal as well, in terms of rebuilding, is obviously the goalkeeper's position is sorted, but. Mustafi will probably be on the way out. Monreal and Koscielny are both, creaking. Could well both be on the way out. There's the Mesut Ozil situation is ridiculous, and they need to get him off that wage bill because he's reported it being 350 grand a week. I've heard it's actually more than that because you've got and on top of that, you've got to take in bonuses and things, and I imagine that contract is very good. So I wonder if actually that was why Emery hasn't played it. Maybe costs a fortune to play him at times. I don't know. That's obviously speculation.
It's like Concorde, too expensive to run.
Yeah.
If you fancy, why do you want to laugh, Laws there?
It's just a really good description of the man.
Jim hasn't laughed since yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I'm glad I'm here for you, Jim.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Arsenal are 11 to 10 to finish in the top 4 next season. £42 including stake. Will you be putting £10 on that, Jim?
Remember, Jim, Leicester City won the league. Okay, let's never forget
we were
that.
second that year.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were the good times, weren't they?
Yeah. Wenger in.
Get Wenger back. Oh, did you see Big
I've
Veng?
seen someone say that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wenger
It was
in.
one of the AFTV lot.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Did you see Big Veng playing in a charity match this week? I think it was in France.
He was of it.
He was pictured going past Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah.
Zidane
did have a little smirk on his face.
Zidane did have a smirk and then a little shirt pull as well.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
He sort of took him on. I saw the clip of it. He sort of took him on in his own 18-yard box. Very Mustafi.
Love that.
Oh, wow.
69 years old. Still breezing past the world's best.
It's funny, isn't it? Zidane is one of those players where when you saw him playing like Soccer Aid and things like that shortly after he'd retired, you think, oh God, looks like he's still got it. He doesn't even really look much different. And that's still the case.
Yeah.
He's not aging. Even
what?
Beckham, though, you can see, the wrinkles are there a little bit and, he looks a bit sort of, older and wiser in the face. Zidane, for me...
Hang on, he's not wiser.
Beckham?
Yeah.
Not wiser?
Oh, maybe he is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
He's got his own football team. I mean, what have you got, Marcus Speller?
Yeah.
Mike Ashley's
got
got his own football team. More on him later. All right, then. Yes, well done, Chelsea, though. We have to say well done, Chelsea. Bloody good season
Both
for
of
them.
you do have to say that, yeah.
Yes, Peter. Let's... finishing third. League Cup final, only beaten on penalties by Man City. Europa League champions. It's not too bloody bad, is it, Roman?
Agreed, Roman.
Sorry, they are sorry. Do you want to? Do you think you should stay on, or whatever? And he went, well, I do, but it's just my opinion. Yeah, my opinion doesn't seem to count for very much around here.
It's such a funny one, isn't it? Because it's like it's like when a couple have had a big row.
Yeah.
Like Sarri and the fans and Sarri and the sort of the board and all this friction. But then actually, he has achieved something really good here. And when the dust has settled, it's like, actually, no, you were right, and now I have to sort of climb down. And be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, I
who
think
apologises? Who buys the flowers?
what he's actually done is he has slightly compromised on old Sarri ball, because at the start of the season it seemed to be doing okay, and then obviously unravelled a bit. If you look at the stats, they're not as Sarri-like as they were, and actually that has sort of worked for them. It's got them into third place and a Europa League win and all that sort of stuff. Although Juventus are obviously very, very interested in him. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But if he does leave after this season, then he's got his trophy. He's had a lovely old time. It's quite Rafa Benitez-esque, really, at Chelsea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Could quite be that. But I would be interested to see him next season, because his style of football, if he actually could implement it more, another summer of transfers, there, Champions League football to look forward to, I think he could do okay.